see it. You see it?
The last winter, I gave you my heart. No, I'm not gonna do that. Don't worry. But we are talking The Last Winter, and this is directed by Larry Fessenden, who also co-wrote this, edited it, produced it, and has a small role in it. He's somewhat of a cult movie figure in certain circles, but this one stars Ron Perlman and Connie Britton. And by the outset, you'll probably liken this to John Carpenter's The Thing. And although it has a similar setting in this kind of Arctic kind of station, and it does have an element of paranoia in it, it's not really like The Thing outside of that. But what is the movie like, I hear you say? Well, let me discuss the synopsis with you. And this focuses on this team of kind of people from an oil company. And they are preparing this site out in the kind of the, Arctic somewhere, where they have discovered this kind of rich oil deposit, and they are effectively prepping for pipes to be laid, and they're kind of just trying to kind of get a gauge on the ground to see if they can kind of bring trucks in effectively. And within this team, you've got Ron Perlman as the kind of the foreman. You've also got a couple of his crew. There's a couple of kind of people from like a sort of Greenpeace sort of style organisation who the company has hired to kind of look at their kind of the eco footprint and things like this. And of course, there's friction between these kind of individuals. But things take a darker turn where there seems to be some type of force out in this kind of area that seems to be affecting this group of people, getting them to do kind of strange things, almost kind of sending them mad, you might say, getting them to kind of wander off naked into the kind of the cold wilderness and other things. Now, we are offered a number of explanations. Is it some type of gas that is kind of coming up from this, this kind of glacier? Is it some type of viral infection? Or is it something more supernatural? Well, let's discuss. So what works in this movie's favour? I have to say I enjoyed the cast here quite a bit. Ron Perlman makes for quite a good grumpy kind of like foreman who is kind of constantly kind of scowling. He sort of tries to have this kind of like bro mentality with his kind of crew, but he also has clear personal opinions about certain people, particularly when they seem to be interested in the same female member of staff that he seems to be interested in, and that might cloud his judgment. But I do think his character seems somewhat layered. I do felt his character seemed like he had a genuine kind of care for his team, and although he's very much a company man, he doesn't feel like he wants to, build these pipes at the behest of the health and safety of his crew, for example. Similarly, I think the guys who are from the kind of the ecological side of stuff, that's obviously their kind of main concern, but they're kind of conflicted as well. So I quite like this kind of characterization for this group of people. I felt it was quite strong. They felt like they had genuine kind of emotions with one another, and you can understand their motivations, which I thought made them quite sort of strong. And the other thing I would say with this movie that I quite enjoyed is just the kind of the weird eeriness that this locale offers. I mean, we see many shots where we just see this wide open space and we can hear the wind howling. We just see the kind of like snow come down, and it's just eerie. And the movie effectively is asking us, is this kind of isolation alone going to be enough to kind of affect people? Or is there something else kind of going on? And the movie is showing us evidence that there is something happening, and it quite well could be supernatural, but we are given these alternative reasons as well, that so you can kind of decide for yourself. I mean, it is a little ambiguous, let's not lie, But the idea here being is that it's presenting you with a variety of different potentials about what could actually happen. The movie is a slow burn, so it does kind of rely very much on its characters, but I do think for the most part it succeeds in having kind of interesting characters and believable ones at the same time. And then when we do see the more horrific scenes, the more supernatural scenes, I think for the most part they generally work pretty well. So what doesn't work in this movie's favour? The movie is slow, and ultimately you could say it does feel a little bit like it's somewhat treading water at certain points. When it's all said and done, if you were to give the full synopsis of the movie and the end, it wouldn't take very long, because there's not a huge amount of actual kind of twists in it. It just is relatively simple, and you feel like there is a little bit of lacking of the forward momentum in regards to kind of storytelling here. We do see a kind of more overt supernatural or potentially hallucination situation, and they use kind of CGI to kind of demonstrate this. I don't know if that was really the best idea, because it kind of looks like CGI and fairly dated CGI. But there you go, it is what it is. There's a suggestion about what it actually is. I'm not going to say. And then the ending is a little weird. It has a kind of epilogue. And I think that was... It could have done without it, if I'm honest. There's like a scene right at the end which points to kind of a larger effect. Maybe that nature is pushing back in a greater way that we couldn't have anticipated. Somewhat apocalyptic even. But I don't know if it really built up to that, if I'm honest. I think that was a little bit of a stretch. I don't think the movie earned that. The movie is really ambiguous right up until the end about what's actually kind of going on. As I say, it gives you a variety of different scenarios, which you can choose to which one you want to sort of believe. But the actual end, I don't know about that. It's maybe, I think, a little bit of it would have been better had that not been on there. So overall, though, I gotta say, I thought this was quite a well put together movie. I quite enjoyed it. It does have a real sense of isolation. It has a real sense of kind of loneliness and paranoia, and that does evoke, obviously, the Thing, John Carpenter's Thing, even though it's not a creature feature per se. I will give this a 7 out of 10. I think it's an enjoyable movie. I did quite enjoy it, but it isn't going to be forever because it is very slow. Have you seen it? What were your thoughts on it? Please do let me know, and I shall look forward to seeing you next time.